Hey everyone, Nathan here from TrueFire. TrueFire proudly partners with Grammy Award winners, top session players, and world-class educators to produce the planet's most comprehensive portfolio of immersive music-making apps, interactive documentaries, and contextual learning experiences. At TrueFire, you can practice smart and play hard with the best in the biz. Each week, we'll be featuring one of our top educators and providing you with a glimpse into their educational libraries available on TrueFire. Tune in each week and don't forget to subscribe. Today, we'd like to feature Tim Lerch. World-renowned for his solo guitar playing and his approach to jazz and blues, Tim is also a member of the legendary Northwest Gypsy jazz group Django. Tim is an Emmy Award-winning composer and a sought-after session guitarist. Today, we'd like to feature 3 incredible lessons from Tim's courses here at TrueFire.
Okay, here's a breakdown on the accompaniment for that basic version of Lady Be Good. The first chord is D major. I tend to use D6-9 here, or any kind of D major, even a D6, or even a D triad. So, and then I'll do a 5 in the bass, and then onto the G7. Maybe 5 in the bass there, and then quicker, D major 9, G7, F minor 7, flat 5. We seem to be getting familiar with that F sharp minor 7, flat 5. Then E minor, or here, to A7. We'll talk about some ways to fill this in the next one. And then D6, B minor, E minor 7, and A. That's a very standard 1, 6, 2, 5 turnaround. And then we go back to the top. And I'm, a good, for these simpler chords, just maybe a quarter note pulse. B7 flat 9, E minor, change the bass to A7, and then D6, and then 2, 5 of 4, A minor 7 to D7, on to G. I usually use G6, G sharp diminished, and then D, and then a 2, 5 of 6, B minor, and then E7, 2 dominant, and then E minor, which is the 2, and A7, the 5. Back to the 1. G9 has the melody, G7. F sharp minor 7, flat 5 to B7 up here, then E minor 7, flat, or E minor 7, A7, and then on the end I just went 6, 2, 5, 1, 6, 2, 5. Now if you want to know about some extra melodic variations on a 1, 6, 2, 5, well there's a nice course by this guy Tim Lerch on TrueFire, where I talk about some melodic variations on standard chord progressions, and 1, 6, 2, 5 is one of them. So be sure to check that out. Okay, so that's the breakdown for the simple version of Lady Be Good. Next, we're going to look at a slightly enhanced version, which will allow us to play more bass movement, which is always a good thing when you're accompanying a singer. Okay, now we're going to look at a very important chord progression. It's a 2-5-1, but it's in minor. And in the key of D minor, the chords would be E minor 7, flat 5, sometimes known as E half diminished, although that's not a name I particularly like, but you should either know it by that or know that some people call it that. A7, usually with some kind of raised 5 or sharp or flat 9s, resolving to either D minor 7 or D minor 6. More and more these days you'll see this progression written in fake books and things as having a minor 6 as the 1 chord. So let's say we're going to play it here. 1, 2, 3, 4, 2, 3, 4, A7 sharp 5 in that case, and then D minor 7. Now we're going to add our simple melodies. I found it helpful to play the chord with 3 fingers, leaving a little finger available, and then I can get the 11th degree down. And then on the A7. Now you might think of this A7, it's got the F in it. Sometimes we call that note a sharp 5. In this case, I think it's more correct to call it flat 13 because it's that is a natural 5 that's right underneath it. Okay, so we have that little palette of notes that are possible in relationship to this fingering. And then, of course, all of the A7 things that we talked about before. All those notes are possible. And then some kind of D minor, either D minor 7, D minor 6. I'll show you this fingering. That's the 1, the 5, the 6, and the flat 3. Here's a favorite one of mine as well, using some open strings. That's like a D minor 9 with a B note, which is the 6th, and an E note, which is the 9, and then even an 11 if you want to have the G in there. Or you can put the A in. It's a beautiful, lush sound. It might sound something like this. 1, 2, 3, 4. Okay, there's 2-5-1 in D minor. Okay, now we're going to look at a very common thing that happens in jazz. I call it a flat 5 sub or a flat 5 substitution. It's also known in sort of more music school land as a tritone substitution. I like to use the word flat 5 just because that's the way I learned it. It also seems a little bit more flexible in terms of naming it and what it means. The basic idea is that really any chord, but particularly a dominant 7th chord, can be substituted with a chord that is a flatted 5th away from the original chord. So if the original chord is G7 in a 2-5-1 in C, a chord that would be a flat 5 away from that is D flat. It turns out that D flat 7 and G7 share the same guts, if you will, the F and the B. So where we might play something like this, we can replace the G with a D flat. And we get something like, very similar to the G altered, but with a different bass note. So one thing about flat 5 subs is they're often dominant 7th chords, but they don't absolutely have to be. And if they are a dominant 7th chord, like D flat, it's better to use the natural extensions of the chord, the natural 9, 11, and 13, rather than altered notes, because the more you alter a flat 5 sub, the closer you get back to the original chord. Give that some thought, and let's look at some examples. So here's our basic idea: D minor 7, D flat 9, and then C, 6-9. Here's a little melody on top. again, another different kind of melody. Okay. That's pretty nice. I use the sharp 11 in the melody there. So now this chord D flat 9 sharp 11 requires a specialized fingering. I'll just spend a second on that. I use my second finger to play the root. The first finger plays the third. The third finger plays 2 notes, the flat 7 and the 9, and I'm using the tip of that finger. And then I'm flattening out my first finger to get the sharp 11, which lives on that fret. Okay, those can also exist up here. Say if we got a D minor up here, and then D13, and then C, D flat 13. So D minor, D flat 13, and C. A little more elaborate melody. Okay, and last one. Okay. One small idea that I want to convey is that we're doing a little more than learning grips. I like to think that all of the voices, the melody and then the inside voice and the bass, all have a natural flow toward the destination. So in this case, the bass is going like this. The inside part is playing this. And the melody is flowing. So we have that nice sound there at the end.
Thanks for watching our Educator Spotlight. Now just a reminder that you can join TrueFire for free and get a 14-day free trial of All Access. No credit card required and no strings attached. Come ignite your playing with TrueFire. Practice smart, play hard.